What's up guys, Card Protagonist here. Today I'll be doing a deck profile on Magic World Drago Phantom Thief from the brand new set S-BT07. The deck focuses on stealing the top cards of your opponent's deck, which is very powerful right now in Buddyfight because of the amount of draw powers most of the deck has. The deck is capable of decking your opponent out while gaining a lot of advantage. This deck is also able to dish out huge amount of damage with its powerful impact and monsters. According to tournament results, these sneaky Dragos are also top tier in Japan. I'm really happy to cover this deck, which belongs to Paddy. So without further ado, let's get on to the deck profile. So the buddy you have here is very unique because Wind's Harry is not the buddy, but it's one of the monsters. The buddy is a spell, which is a first in Buddyfight. So it is Sky Castle of Drago Phantom Thief, Leblanc Malrise. I don't know whether I butchered the name, so forgive me. So this is a very unique card because it is a spell that you set as a buddy. So while this card is set as a buddy, you can only use Drago Thieves. So the current deck focuses on Drago Phantom Thief, which is the overall archetype, and does not use any other monsters. So it says you cannot call monsters other than Drago Phantom Thief attribute, and when your opponent casts a spell, it will be put from the hand to drop zone. So usually when you cast a spell, it goes to the drop zone. It is placed under, face down, on the field as a spell zone, as a magic treasure. So this deck revolves around using magic treasure, which is their hidden keyword. So its second ability is mainly when you activate it, so you do play 4 copies of this in the deck. If your buddy is a spell, put up to 4 cards of your top of your opponent's deck to the magic treasure zone. You may only cast this card once per turn. So it's really good because you're able to mill top 4 cards of opponent's deck, hopefully getting rid of some of their important cards. I personally fight against this deck, and wow, due to the amount of draw power my deck has, I actually decked out a lot against this deck. And also this Magic World deck is able to deal a lot of damage with its impact after setting up the Magic Treasure Zone with a huge stack. So this impact can easily do up to 10 to 20 damage, easily 10, and goes up to 20 due to the amount of Magic Treasures you have. Magic Treasures are a zone which will be out of the deck, and they can never return back into the game unless your opponent does use the impact, which sends the Magic Treasures back to the drop zone. So yeah, a really interesting card that counters a lot of the meta deck, and overall a really good archetype. So first up, 4 copies of Grand Phantom Thief. Wind's Harry is your main monster of the deck and is basically the engine of the whole deck. He has a core cost of 1 gauge and putting the top card of the deck into soul, so he does have Soul Guard. He has move and double attack, and its most interesting ability is its counter skill, which can be used during your opponent's and your attack phase. So during each play's attack phase, you may pay on gauge. If you do, draw 1 card and then check the top 4 cards of opponent's deck. Choose 2 cards among them and put into the treasure zone, and the rest goes to the opponent's bottom deck. Really good because this skill allows you to filter your opponent's deck during your turn and your opponent's turn, which makes the matchup easier. So you gotta Max a Harry because it's a really powerful card that gives you a bit of draw power, a bit of deck control, and the ability to double attack, which gives you a bit of push for damage. Next, 4 copy of Renowned Phantom Thief. So this card is also very important in the deck, and it helps the consistency of the deck. He basically searches out a Harry. When this card enters the field, you may discard a can card. If you do, put up to 1 Phantom Thief monster with Harry in its name, or up to 1 Phantom Thief item from your deck to your hand. So it's really good because it doesn't only tutor Harry, it also tutors your item, which you do play, and it's pretty important in the deck, especially against other matchups. Pretty much staple in the deck since it boosts consistency. Next, we have 4 copies of Elusive Phantom Thief. So this card is really good because it's our draw power and engage power. You may only call this card once per turn, but when this card enters the field, if another Drago Phantom Thief on the field, you can charge 2 gauge and draw 1 card. Then if your opponent has 2 or more Magic Treasure, which is pretty much guaranteed in this deck, you draw an additional card. So think about it, it is charge 2 and draw 2. And also as a size 1, he has triple attack when your opponent has 4 or more Magic Treasures, which is very easy because a single buddy spell instantly sets up Harry. One or two times you basically get a triple attacking size 1 monster. Awesome. Next, 2 copy of the Draco Mecha. We call it the Draco Mecha because it is a giant monster. It is a size 3 that is extremely powerful. So it has a core cost of putting 1 or more Phantom Dragon Thief from the field into its soul and paying 2 gauge. So what makes this card really powerful is its counter ability. If your opponent has a Magic Treasure on the field, you can call this card by paying score cost, counter skill, which is good because after attack with your Phantom Harrys, you can actually just go transform into the Mecha form, which is like a giant attacker. What makes this card really strong is when you have 4 or more Magic Treasure on opponent's field, it gets additional 2 critical, and if there's 6 or more Magic Treasure, it gains plus 10k attack, 10k defense, and if there are 8 or more, it gets quadruple attack. Trust me, this deck easily gains 8 Magic Treasures due to the amount of cards that steals your opponent's deck. So it has move, Soul Guard, and counter attack. So after attacking, most likely you go to this guy to potentially finish your opponents. So think about it, he has 4 critical and quadruple attack, which means you're doing 16 points of damage with this card, let alone Harry. So Harry by itself is 4 crit, plus another 16 is 20 crit, So this guy is surprisingly very powerful. We play 2 copies because we do have a lot of draw power, and it's mostly used as a finisher, or if your opponent does not die, you can always set it at center of the tank because it's 18k defense, which is very tanky. So 2 copies as tech. Now for this spell, we play 4 copies of the Sky Castle, which is very important because it sets up your opponent's magic treasures, and also getting rid of your opponent's resources is awesome. And we play 4 copies because it turbos and sets up your opponent's magic treasure zone. Next, 3 copies of Steal Time, We Say Goodbye. I really like the name, and it's a really powerful card. One thing to note is you do not need to have a Phantom Thief on the field to activate this card, which is awesome. And for a single card, it has an incredible ability. You may only cast this card during your turn, which is fair, otherwise you'll be very broken. It has counter ability. If you have 2 or more magic treasure on opponent's field, charge 2 gauge. Then if there are 4 more, draw 2 cards. If there are 6 or more, gain 2 life. If there are 8 or more, deal 2 damage to your opponent. So this kind of reminds me of Holy Magic, but to be honest, this is much more easier because sending cards to opponent's magic zone is very easy in this deck. This card is basically one of the best spells in Magic World right now. So 3 copies. Next, 3 copies of the set spell, My Funny Venus. With Effect Nullify running around in Buddyfight, this card is extremely important. And also this card gives you a little bit of draw power. So its set ability, all abilities of Phantom Thieves cannot be nullified by bonus card effect. So when a magic treasure is placed from your opponent's deck to their field, you get to charge and draw, which is nice. So you'll be accumulating a bit of advantage during your turn and opponent's turn, charging and drawing. Next, 4 copy of personally my favorite negate. This negate is incredible, especially in this meta right now. So you may only cast this card if you have magic treasure on opponent's field. One cool thing is also, once again, you do not need to have any Phantom Thieves on the field to activate this card. Counter ability, rest a monster on opponent's field. If there are 6 or more magic treasure on opponent's field, which is very easy because basically this spell and Harry itself is an instant 6, rest all cards on your opponent's field instead, and it's not once per turn. It's a really good spell card and highly recommended for best Magic World defensive card in my opinion. Next is 2 copies of Waltz for Harry. This card is also very good, but we only play 2 because Fishing Shuffle actually does a lot of jobs. You want to play more, you could play more. This ability is you can only cast this card during attack to your opponent's turn. You pay on gauge and return a Phantom Drago Thief monster from your field to your hand. So it's good because you will be able to reuse their abilities when they enter the field. So cards that gives you extra advantage or search out your Harry, you can reuse them later on during the game. So really good ability. And also, what makes it really good is its nullify ability. Then if there are 6 or more magic treasure on your opponent's field, for this turn, the damage you take are reduced by 3. That is Dimension Wall, and that's insane. So it's a really good card that gives you extra defense. 2 copies to 3 is up to you. We make space for more different Magic World spell because we do utilize Holy Magic in the deck. Now, there's no Magic World deck without the 3 copies of Nice One. Paying 1 gauge to draw 2 cards once per turn is just simply amazing. 3 copies of Sephiroth's Lecture. Still a very good card because you can be used during your turn and your opponent's turn, which is what I really like. And also, you can cast it once you cast a spell every turn, so it's pretty much guaranteed since we have a lot of counter spells in this deck. Check top 2, choose 1 to hand, 1 to gauge. Awesome card. 2 copies of Holy Magic. It's reprinted for the 3rd time. So basically, you guys know what this card does. The more different spells you have in your drop zone, the better. If you return 3, you can charge 2 gauge. If you return 6, you can draw 2 cards. If you return 9 or more, you can deal 3 to your opponents, which is awesome. So usually we can, with the amount of different spells we play in this deck, most of the time I do return 9 of them. So yeah, Holy Magic is very good and definitely a must play in most Magic World decks nowadays. 1 copy of No Pain No Gain because it speaks the truth. There's no pain, there's no gain. Pay 2 gauge, draw 2 cards, and then discard a card from your hand. It basically turbos the drop zone and speeds up the deck a little. Gauge is not really a problem in this deck, and therefore I tag in 1 copy of No Pain No Gain to turbo the Holy Magic. 1 copy of Time Sale because it does simply what Holy Magic does. Pay 2 gauge and 2 life, you can draw 2 cards. So it's being a single spell, which helps with the Holy Magic once again. And also, if your life points are really low, you could actually cast it for free, which is always good. So 1 copy. 1 copy of Chronos Bante Arch. You just play this because it does give you a 1 extra draw. It speeds up the deck a little bit at the cost of 1 life and dumps your drop zone for extra spells so they can use for Holy Magic. 1 copy of Warrior. This card is actually a lot better. You could play 2 if you want to. This card is great because you can bounce back any card back to your opponent's hand. And there's a lot of cards that has anti-destruction, but it's not immune to bounce. 1 copy of Fake Out. It's a reprint from the previous set. Nullify attack and draw a card by placing 1 spell back to the bottom of the deck. Awesome. 1 copy of the new card, Buddyfight Without Limits. This card is a promo from the Time Dragon Trial deck, and it is very important because it does work really well against a lot of decks nowadays, which discards. So when this card is discarded, you can just draw 2 cards, and for this turn your cards can no longer be discarded. It also has the ability to gain 3 life or reduce your opponent's crit. So it's there as an extra spell. You never know when you need cards like these. Similar to the previous card, Recovery Veil prevents you from getting discarded, and also it gives you extra gauge. Just in case you were getting beat down, you can also use its ability to reduce the critical, which is nice. And finally, 1 copy of Buddy Block. Just a standard staple defensive card. So once your opponent attacks 4 or more times, you don't take any battle damage anymore. Now for the items, we play 2 copy of Chaser Beater. So this card can be searched up by your monsters. If you have 4 or more magic treasure on your opponent's field, this card and all Drago Phantom Thief monsters on your field cannot be destroyed. However, your set spells still can be broken, so do take note. And also, if your opponent do have 6 or more magic treasure on your opponent's field, all your Phantom Thieves gain Shadow Dive. So with today's meta with lots of huge monsters in the center, you can just bypass those beasts and just go straight over the life points. Really awesome. It also has double attack, so it does 4 critical by itself. Yeah, mainly used because it does give your bot immunity. Finally, with 2 copy of Lullaby Steam Sky. This card is really interesting and what makes this deck really offensive. So you can only cast card if your cards attack 2 times. So you must minimum do 2 attacks. Its cast cost is destroy any number of magic treasure opponent's field and pay 2 gauge. So at a cost of 2 gauge and destroying the magic treasures which was there all along. I don't see any repercussion of destroying magic treasures because it goes to drop zone. However, this impact is really powerful. Deal 1 damage to opponents for each magic treasure destroyed. So think about this. I said that this deck can easily put 8 magic treasures. So it's for 2 gauge you can easily deal 8 damage to your opponent. It's a really good common impact in my opinion. Based on playtesting, this deck easily puts 10 or more cards in the magic treasure zone. So it's a 2 gauge for 10 damage impact. Awesome. So, I hope you guys enjoyed my deck profile on the Drago Phantom Thief from the brand new set S-BT07. If you'd like to see more awesome new Buddyfight deck profiles, be sure to like this video and subscribe to my channel. So once again, thank you guys for watching, peace out and keep on buddy fighting!